What is good? I mean, what is really good, my people? It is UK. Trotler brother, dr.blick, the darkest man who rounded today, guys. I am here with Vengefulwilberg. Say hi to the people, man.
What is good, bros and bro? It has been such a long freaking time since your boy Venge has been here. So hey, it's awesome to be here. It's always fun having discussions with Dr. Blick. So it's a esteemed pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, my dude.
No problem, man. It's always great to have you on the channel. And in today's video, we'll be talking about Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, and we'll be talking about whether offline mode could potentially kill this game. I know a lot of people got mad about the fact that offline mode was not there. I know a lot of people are upset about that, but in today's video we're going to discuss this. I'm going to discuss why this game could potentially flop. It may not just be down to offline itself, but there's other things that are turning people off about this game. So Venge, is offline a major loss to this game?
Woo! To answer that question, it's very tough, but here's what I narrowed it down to when it comes to offline. Like, one of the things that, you know, you hear a lot about, especially if you've been around the community long enough to know, is the fact that when it comes to offline features such as story mode, there are a lot of people out there that's really big on that. And the fact that that is not there has caused quite a bit of an uproar. And since this game is more geared towards the community itself versus another community just coming in, you know, like, the anime community has more, you know, they have a lot more to say. There's a lot more room for criticism and things of that nature. So a lot of people love stuff like story mode for whatever strange reason. That's just me. I feel like we've seen the story more than enough to know, but I guess it's just the idea of trying to create a new story, and it's interesting to people, especially if they don't care about online. So I feel as though that could potentially hurt the game quite a bit due to the community standards. And the thing that's so for me in that case, the make or break thing is going to come down to the gameplay overall. If the gameplay doesn't make up for the lack of offline features, then I see we're gonna have a major problem.
I totally agree with that. Like, when it comes down to the gameplay is the key part. I know a lot of people are worrying about the content that the game will have. Don't worry about the content, because if you can have all the content in the world, but if the gameplay ain't up to par, if the gameplay is not good, it's gonna flop. You see games like for example Raging Blast 2, hardly any content, but what would you rather play, Raging Blast 2 or Battle of Z? Battle of Z has more content, but Raging Blast 2 has the better gameplay. Like, what would you rather play, a game with better gameplay or a game with more content? I'd rather play a game with better gameplay rather than a game with content. I know a lot of people are worried about this game because it's not visually pleasing compared to Storm. Me personally, I don't think it's ugly. I just think Storm looks better, but we knew this was gonna happen when you have a new developer that is not CC2. CC2, when it comes to visual, when it comes to making Naruto in terms of looks, they do it the best, and they've done it the best for like the past few years. Like, there's no one else that's even come close to what CC2 has produced in terms of the quality of the scenes that they do. Like, that final fight with Naruto and Sasuke in Stormfall was done amazingly. That was a great way to end the story mode with the way they did it. Like, the scenes and everything was done just perfect in my opinion. But when it comes down to offline gameplay, I feel that having offline, to me, is normally a mandatory, but it also depends on what this game's trying to do. This game's trying to be Overwatch. This game is trying to be as much as Overwatch as possible. So if you look at Overwatch in terms of offline features, it's not really there. If you look at Overwatch in terms of story mode, it's not there at all. And do you really want to play story mode with a game like this? Like, this style game as a story mode, would it really work well? That's something that you gotta think. That's something you gotta think about. I know people that are complaining due to the fact that the internet might not be that great. They can't rely on the connections of Bandai games, because in the past, when it comes to Bandai anime games, the connection's been iffy, bar games like Burning Blood. But then you got games like JoJo, which was unplayable, and then you got games like Storm, which was horrible. So the reliance on the server is really high, but we don't know how this game is gonna feel in terms of gameplay wise. But to a lot of people, it's not looking that pleasing, and you can obviously see why. So when it comes down to the issues, Venge, what do you feel that are going to be something that people dislike about the game? Because I've heard people saying that screw this game, I don't like microtransaction, screw this game, I don't like the way it looks, and it looks terrible compared to other games we've played. What'd you say to that, Venge?
Let's see. This is kind of a toughie because I really didn't think about it. But I will start with this first, and maybe something will jump into my head a moment after I cover this thought about the microtransactions. What do I think about them? Well, yeah, it can either be good or bad. There's like no in between. I mean, like, one of the issues with microtransactions, and when it comes to publishers, now I'm saying publishers because they're the ones that call the shot when it comes to microtransactions, DLC, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, if it's used in a way where it's not, I guess, the model such as, let's say, pay to win, I could see that being an issue, kind of like when you look at Dokkan and stuff like that with their microtransactions. How you, in order to really progress faster, you gotta pay to win. And there's a lot of other companies that follow that model, but like there are other companies out there that when they do it, they don't do it in such a way that if you feel like they're like screwing you over in terms of content, you know what I mean? It feels like it's a legitimate way to use microtransactions. Like, let's look at Harmonix and what they achieved with the Rock Band series. Even though this is a completely different genre, the way that they used like DLC, microtrans, whatever you want to call it, they did it in such a way where they didn't infringe on the, it didn't infringe on the, I guess, film. Why am I saying infringe? It just didn't upset people because of the fact that they had this ginormous library, and there was like no way in hell that you would be able to fit all of that on one disc. And it was like people had options for years and years because their library kept growing, and then there was more and more available to the point where you can pick and choose. So in my opinion, with microtrans, I don't feel like that can destroy the game, but at the same time, it depends on how they use the model. But I guess the biggest issue that I would have is how repetitive the game can become. And because, I mean, games like these kind of lend itself to repetitiveness, especially if they don't provide enough game modes where there's enough variety. And I feel like that could be the potential issue here. I mean, gameplay wise it looks interesting, but we need to see a little bit more, especially in terms of characters and jutsus, like how a lot of people mention how there's the mentor system and all of that, and it seems like a remnant of Xenoverse in a way. But Naruto? I guess the biggest question is, how far are they going to go when it comes to implementing that system? And is it just going to be some BS copy-paste kind of thing? No unique jutsus, like minuscule options, and just like some customization pieces that just is dull. I mean, one thing that I would love to see with their customization is that they do it in a way that's actually better than Xenoverse. Meaning you can really create a character that like fits whatever persona that you're looking for.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, you want stuff to fit your character well, and you want stuff to be available to to you in terms of creating your character, because with Xenoverse we were really limited with what you could do, and there were things like wigs that didn't need to be a thing, because what's the difference between wigs and having hair? There's literally no difference. There's no perks, there's no positive, there's no con. Like, you might as well just make it a hairstyle. So we don't want any limits like that. We want every single hairstyle possible, or just a good amount, because Xenoverse didn't really give you a good amount, and with some of the options were trash. We want good options, but for the most part that is kind of the least thing to be concerned about, because like you said, Venge, repetitiveness is one of the biggest issues. And another big issue is the fact that people are really leaning towards the fact that this game is pretty much only really looking interesting when it comes to capture the flag. And when it comes to watching the gameplay and watching people play the game, it doesn't really seem a game that fun to watch. Maybe it's down to the fact that you can't watch it with no commentary, and you need people to commentate it while watching the game. But other than that, it doesn't really seem like a game I would want to sit down and go, yo, you know what, I'm just gonna watch the gameplay, because the gameplay, based on the people that are playing it, doesn't really look that interesting. That is an issue that a lot of people are having with the game. The game don't look interesting towards them. And another big factor is character confirmation. When it comes down to them confirming characters, they need to confirm a good selection, because if they don't confirm a good selection, you're gonna have a lot of angry people, and you're gonna have a lot of people complaining, because Storm had pretty much almost every character. So they got to be careful on the characters that they do not confirm, because we know this game is not going to have a massive roster, because if they end up doing a sequel, they're going to need characters to add on to the sequel. And when it comes to first games rosters are never really big to begin with. So you got anything else to add, Venge?
Yes, when you mentioned roster, that's kind of scary now that I think about it, because like, now that I think about it, based on what I have seen, it even, don't you have this feeling like when they revealed some of the characters that they didn't even reveal entire teams? Like, there was either one or two people that were missing from that team, and you're wondering, and it just leaves you wondering, will they be there? I mean, that was very odd.
You mean like Shikachu?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was strange.
Yeah, when they confirmed Choji and Shikamaru, but they did not confirm Ino. That was really odd. But the thing about it is, I'm saying this right now, with the whole type system, with making people like Hinata and Sakura healing types, if they want to have a good array of options when it comes to healing types, Ino needs to be confirmed, and so does Lady Tsunade. Like, there's a lot of characters that need to be confirmed in terms of balancing the game out, because the way they've structured this game, you need one person you need one type in each team, and there's 4 types, so you need one type in each team so you can make your team balanced. And I feel like that's how the game is going to work, and that's how you're going to be able to be successful in terms of this game, because this game's heavily objective based. Like, the concept sounds cool. The only thing I'm worried about is the execution of the concept, because it's easy to create a concept, but can you execute the concept right? That's the thing that you got to ask yourself. That's the thing you got to think about when it comes to making a game. And this game just raises a lot of eyebrows. There's a lot of questions. And when they give answers, it still gives you more questions. Like, you're getting more questions rather than answers when it comes to this game. A lot of things are worrying people, and the only way you're really going to get reassurance is when you play the game. That's literally all I can tell you. But in terms of going forward, this game ain't looking good in terms of the community's reaction, because the community are not really happy with what they're seeing of this game. So when games are like this, they tend to not do as well as they're supposed to. A great example, and I know you recognize this example, Benj, Burning Blood. Burning Blood's the best example. People keep begging for a sequel, but in reality, a sequel for that game is unlikely. Like, it's very unlikely. But you got anything else to add? Because I can tell you got some stuff to say, bruh.
You know, that hurt my soul when you reminded me of that, because like, this is like one of those griping issues about the community as a whole, now that I think about it. Because, like, sometimes I feel like there are some people out there, I'm not trying to speak for everyone in the, you know, I'm not trying to generalize, you know, like the community or anything like that, but there are a fair amount of people out there where they would say they want something, and then when they get it, that is not what they want. It's like they can't make up their mind. Because there was a bro on your that follows you on your channel, bro, and I could have sworn up and down that bro could not stand burning blood at all. And then all of a sudden, a year later, when the game is practically dead, and you know the name is brought up one more time, and then it's like, oh, I want One Piece burning blood now. It's like, make up your mind. Do you want it or you don't? You know what I mean? Like, it just baffles me sometimes. Because the reason why I'm bringing that up is I was actually a fan of Burning Blood. I enjoyed the game. And it's unfortunate that this thing happened. You know, there was a lot of mistakes. And it's surprising sometimes how, you know, the frustration of a community can hurt the game that much. I mean, sometimes you just have no idea until you actually see it happen. So, all I got to say to close this out in terms of Shinobi Striker is I certainly hope the ideas that they have in mind, what they want to do, that they implement it well enough to the point that this game is well received. Because even the fact that they said it's going to be a story mode where it was actually advertised in the freaking scan, and then all of a sudden people find out there isn't a story mode, that's going to piss a lot of people off. I mean, like, I know I'm trying to be more, you know, family friendly now, because I haven't cursed in a long time. But that I had to say, because when I heard that was frustrating even me. I'm like, that's like false advertising. Why are you lying like that, bro?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, false advertising, lying, all that stuff. For your sake, I hope it's a mistranslation, because I'm gonna come for them cheeks. But anyways, that's pretty much the video. So if you guys want to check out Venge's channel, link to that will be in the description below. I highly recommend that. And yeah, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow me on Twitter. All that stuff will all be in the description below, or I might pin it to the comments. It always depends on how I'm feeling. Most likely it will definitely be in the description, as always. But anyways, let me just wrap up this video. So please comment and subscribe. I know I say this all the time, but at the end of the day, I'm just saying, please leave a like, rating if you enjoyed this video. And yeah, it's UK Chocolate Brother will catch you in the next one. Bye guys.
Peace.